I'm rich, and I'm hiding in the upstairs bedroom of my house, away from the better half and my kids. You know why? Because, blokes, tonight is beer night! That's right, it's episode number 5 of the most raw, real, unfiltered show that there is about beer. Thank you so much for watching. The fact that we made it to episode number 5 means I must like something about what I'm doing here. So thanks for being here. Let's get down to business, shall we? So shout outs to the trivia winners from last week. The question was, who's the hockey player at the beginning of the video from last week? And the answer was Maurice Richard, the Rocket. And the winners were Mujic. It's not pronounced Mugic, it's actually Mujic. He corrected me. And Brian M on Facebook. So congratulations, guys. You were the first ones to get the trivia question right. Maurice Richard, you know, what he reminded me of when I found that was there were these value books that I would read when I was a kid. My parents would read them to me, and my favorite one was on the value of tenacity. That was the character trait. And it was a biography of Maurice Richard and how tenacious he was. And I just thought that was really cool. Let me know if any of you guys read those books as a kid. So, a couple comments from last week. Rachel wrote, "So great." Well, thanks, Rachel. That's a big ego stroke telling me I'm great. I appreciate that. And then Oren said that he actually met the brewmaster from Unibrow, who made the beer from last week. He met them at Central Market. He said all their stuff is top notch. This one is his favorite. Keep it up. And then Oren also mentioned, in regards to how I was saying Canada builds wildlife overpasses for their animals, Oren also mentioned that Israel now creates tunnels and overpasses for wildlife. And out of curiosity, because I like Israel, I looked this up, and Israel is actually building a big wildlife overpass over their highway number 1, which is their highway that connects Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And this overpass is about to be completed, and it's going to allow all kinds of animals to cross over the highway, animals such as gazelles, foxes, jackals, hyenas. So, way to go, Israel. Way to be green and build those wildlife overpasses. Okay, tonight's beer, Newcastle Brown Ale. From England, not too high on the alcohol scale, 4.7% ABV, so it shouldn't knock us out like last week's. And so little on the IBU scale, they don't even rank it. You know, I love beer history, and this is a really historical beer. So this beer, not the brewery, but just the beer, is almost 90 years old. The brown ale made by Newcastle, almost 90 years old. It was created in 1927 by Lieutenant Colonel Jim Porter, who was a lieutenant colonel in the British Army in World War I. He came from a family of brewmasters, and while he was working at the Newcastle Brewery in Tyne, he spent 3 years developing this brown ale, and when he finished it, he thought it was a failure. Well, he was wrong. It was obviously a big success. So now, and over the past 90 years, this beer gained a reputation for the working class men of Northeast England. It's associated with like heavy industry, blue collar factory workers. So it's sort of like a hardcore industrial beer from the Northeast of England. In 1960, the Newcastle brewery merged with a Scottish brewery, and they became Scottish and Newcastle. Some of you older guys might remember Scottish and Newcastle. And then in 2008, Heineken came in and just bought the whole operation. And as I've been researching the history of beer, this journey I'm on about beer, I'm kind of learning how these big conglomerates like InBev or Heineken or Sapporo, they kind of gobble up these little ones, and I don't really like that. But this one, it's still made in England. It's just owned by Heineken. And then real fast, what's a brown ale? So the English ales are divided into dark ales and pale ales, like IPAs and stuff. So out of the dark ales, you've got your porters, your stouts, your dark miles, and your brown ales. And brown ale is kind of a descendant of the porters. It's known for not having much hoppiness at all. It's obviously a brown or amber color, and has like toasty, toffee, caramely, sort of like what you would associate with like darkness flavors to it, but not as dark as like a stout. So let's go ahead and let's get into this thing and see. I noticed, in my head, I thought it had a brown bottle, and I thought, oh, that's great, they filter out the light, but it's not. It's a clear bottle, which is concerning a little bit, because when the bottle's clear, it can let light in, which can skunk or ruin the beer. And notice I'm using a glass mug. When you're drinking a brown ale, you want to use a glass mug or a pint glass. You do not want to drink a brown ale out of one of those like tall lager glasses. You'll look like an idiot. In fact, the other day I was at a restaurant and I ordered my favorite local IPA, Mosaic IPA, and the guy served it to me in a tall Pilsner glass, and I threw it right back in his face. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't do that, but now that I learn about this stuff, I want my beer served in the right glassware. I think that means I'm becoming a snob. So, okay, look at this. Not too much head. It's a cream colored head. It's not a white head. And it's brown like we expected. It's definitely brown. I don't think that light does anything for us, but it's a brown looking beer. So let's go ahead and give this a sniff and see what we can smell. All right, I'm excited. Definitely like a coffee. I smell like coffee in it. It almost smells like when I go to Starbucks and I get coffee. And I do smell caramel, sort of like a sugary caramel smell to it. Let's go ahead. I'm excited to give this a taste. Let's taste this thing. Okay, so I mean, it's a little bit watery, but not too watery. I definitely taste sort of like a toast, like what toast tastes like a little bit, and I do taste the caramel. It goes down easy. There's maybe a hint of bitterness when you swallow it on the aftertaste, but not too much. But yeah, it's kind of like it's sort of like a light version of a stout. That's kind of the way I would describe it from my unexpert palate. But it's easier to drink than a stout. Let me do one more little sip here. Almost like the fall, like autumn, like leaves, kind of like brown leaves would taste like. Have you ever got leaves in your mouth when you were jumping in leaf piles as a kid? That may be a little bit like that, what it tastes like. I actually like it. It goes down easy. It doesn't have all like the colorful hoppiness of an IPA that I tend to like, but this is better than I anticipated. Nothing too special, but I like it. I would call it maybe a tenacious beer. I was trying to think of human emotion here for it. I tend to envision like the heavy industry blue collar guy drinking this thing. So maybe it's just sort of like a gritty, standard, hardworking, tenacious beer. I mean, if it's been around 90 years, almost 90 years, it certainly is tenacious. So yeah, I'm gonna give this, it's not blowing me away, maybe 81. I don't want to leave it in the 70s. It's not in the 90s. But yeah, there we go. 81 for Newcastle Brown Ale. I like it. Okay, trivia question for this week. It's related to Newcastle Brown Ale. What is a slang term or a nickname for Newcastle Brown Ale in England? There's a few different nicknames people call this in England. So go ahead and find that, and first one to tell me a nickname for this will win the trivia question, and you'll be on the board for next week. So, all right, what's next week's beer? ¿Dónde está la cerveza, amigos? Where'd it go? Next week's beer is Corona Extra. We're going to Mexico, and we're gonna taste the Corona Extra. I've had it before, but it's been a long time. I've never evaluated it or really researched it before I had it. So go get one. No excuses this time. Some of you guys told me like, oh, you couldn't find La Fin du Monde or whatever. This is everywhere. This is in the gas stations. This is all over the place. So I'm also gonna be recording next week's episode from Florida, and I'm hoping they have Corona there. They should. And any of you people that are thinking of burglarizing my house, because I just told you I'm going to be in Florida, I'm staging large, angry dogs armed with weapons all over my house, so don't even think about it. Okay, thank you so much for watching my show. I appreciate all of you who followed me on this journey. The journey continues next week. If you like the show, please subscribe on YouTube, and please leave comments. The comments are what really makes this fun. When you guys taste the beer, or you give me your opinion on the beer, that's what makes it fun. So, thank you, and remember, no matter where you are in the world, even if you're in Eretz Yisrael, if you like beer, you will always have a friend right here in Plano, Texas. Enjoy your beers, blokes. Cheers!